Amazing turnaround, cleaner takes stand in court, revealing hidden truth that changes everything. Lisa's heart raced as she stepped into the courtroom, her mind swirling with anxiety. This place, where the air felt thick and the truth hung suspended, was about to change her life forever. She glanced over at Jamie, her 12-year-old son, whose bright eyes held an unwavering confidence. That look reminded her of why she was here. They had pulled through countless rough nights, just the two of them, leaning on each other like the sturdy oaks that lined Maplewood streets. He was her light, she would have to be his strength today. As a part-time cleaner at McGraw's Hardware, Lisa had always respected Tom McGraw. He hired her when she needed work and treated her with kindness, something rare in the chilly air of unrest that often swept through Maplewood. Now, rumors boiled in hushed tones around the small town, charges of embezzlement. It didn't make sense. If anyone knew the integrity of Tom, it was her. The news had struck like a lightning bolt, breaking the peace they'd all taken for granted. Friends turned to strangers, and neighbors whispered in dark corners as fatigue and desperation bled into their lives. But they were a resilient people, and beneath the surface tension, a fire ignited a longing for justice, even if it meant shattering their idolized illusions. What if it's all a lie? Jamie had asked one evening, his fingers knotted in worry. What if they're just trying to break him? Lisa had smiled weakly, not wanting to instill fear into her hopeful child. But deep down, she wrestled with that very doubt. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Evidence soon began to surface: clandestine meetings, misreported transactions that hinted at a deeper conspiracy entangling not only Tom but the very fabric of their town. Lisa felt the fire of resolve burn brighter in her chest. In the eye of chaos, she found purpose. She was no longer just a cleaner. She was a warrior for truth, armed only with broom and heart. The trial unfolded like a thunderstorm. The courtroom echoed with tension, a palpable pulse vibrating through the packed seats. With every testimony, the balance of trust wavered precariously. And there she was, perched on the witness stand, every eye an expectant lantern. Doubt rippled through her mind like dark waters. Could she bear the weight of exposing the truth? What if the blowback shattered everything: her work, her home, Jamie? But as she gazed out over the crowded space, each face reflected a flicker of hope, awakening something deep inside her. With her heart pounding like a drum, Lisa straightened her back. It was time to unleash the truth the shadows had tried to bury. Just as she opened her mouth, she felt the gravity of everything building to a breathtaking point. Her voice quivered, but it was no longer just a whisper for herself, it was a rallying cry for Maplewood. Would they listen? Would this fractured town bind together once more? With the eyes of the community upon her, Lisa took a deep breath, letting hope and fear dance in equal measure. All of a sudden, nothing seemed impossible. Lisa inhaled sharply, the weight of the moment swirling around her. It felt like the world had come to a standstill. Her heart raced faster than ever, a wild drumbeat in her chest. She felt Jamie's eyes on her, steadfast, anchoring her even when her own thoughts began to drift. Tom McGraw is not a thief, she finally said, her voice solid and true, surprising even herself. Every head in the courtroom snapped to attention, the silence stretching like a taut string. She could feel the collective holding of breaths. Anticipation hung thick in the air. Tom treated me with respect, with dignity. I know him. The murmurs began. Some still held doubts, but others leaned closer, drawn in by the passion in her voice. She felt it, the shift in energy, a tiny spark igniting against the mounting odds. I've worked for him for years, she continued, determined to convey what lay heavy in her heart. When my husband left, I was a mess, struggling to make ends meet. Tom didn't just give me a job, he helped me take care of my son. He invested in my family. As she spoke, memories flickered through her mind, working late nights, Tom checking in on her, offering her a warm cup of coffee after a long day. Those moments of kindness felt like her armor now, but Lisa's fire wasn't just for herself. It flickered for the community. The faces of neighbors she'd seen at the market, the kids who played in the park, all seemed to mesh into one collective heartbeat. I believe in Maplewood, she added, emphasizing each word like a mantra. We are better than these rumors. We stand for each other, or we'll fall apart. In that moment, Lisa saw a shift. The onlookers, once skeptical, began to nod slightly, the fight in her voice resonating like a becoming anthem. But even as she revealed her truth, a sliver of doubt threatened to creep back in. What if they turned against her? Do you really think anyone would risk themselves for another? Shouted out a voice from the back, a local businessman embroiled in the rumors. What's your real angle, Lisa? Her stomach churned at the challenge, but rather than retreat, her resolve hardened. No one is safe unless we stand up. She cried back, her voice rich with emotion. We are all made strong by honesty. You know it. She felt Jamie's warmth beside her as he whispered, You've got this, Mom. That simple encouragement melted her apprehensions. Lisa took a deep breath, her brows furrowed, ready to take her stand like the oak trees that fought to survive those bitter winters. As the questioning continued, Lisa shared everything she witnessed: normal transactions, harmless gatherings that others twisted to serve their own agendas. She would expose the truth, no matter the cost. Each word built a barrier against the doubts swirling within her. The crowd stirred again, her words punctuating the tension like bright fireworks against darkening skies. The judge listened intently, scribbling notes as the drama unfolded. Lisa couldn't tell if the tide had genuinely turned, but she felt a nagging sense that more was at stake. What if there were forces she couldn't control, shadowy figures pulling strings unseen? Silence roared in the aftermath, a breath held captive. All eyes settled on her, expectant and cautious. She was inching closer to what she feared the most. She had to navigate forward, uncovering more than just the truth about Tom. As the gavel banged with authority, a strange sense of hope washed over her. Could revealing the truth transform Maplewood once and for all? Lisa steadied herself for the next wave of questions, anxiety humming through her, mindful of the weight of each response. What would they unearth next, and was she truly ready for the predictably unpredictable nature of truth? As she looked out into the sea of eager faces, she braced for a storm she knew would be coming. The tension in the courtroom was palpable, like a tightly wound spring ready to snap. Lisa's heart thumped louder, each beat echoing in her ears, drowning out the murmurs around her. She could sense the eyes of Maplewood upon her, a community on the brink of either redemption or ruin. As the questioning resumed, she felt fresh adrenaline coursing through her veins. What else do you want to know? She challenged, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. I'm no stranger to this town. I know every face, every story. And I know how quickly good people can be dragged through the mud. An attorney leaned closer, his sharp glasses glinting under the courtroom lights. You trust Tom so deeply, yet you don't find it suspicious that he's under investigation? No. Lisa shot back, her voice ringing with conviction. It's not suspicious because I've seen the good he does. Why not open your eyes to the truth? There's a reason this community thrives, and it's fueled by people like Tom who genuinely care. It's easy to throw accusations, it's hard to stand by your neighbor. A murmur spread through the audience, like waves lapping at a shore. Some people shifted in their seats, their eagerness to hear more visible in their eyes. Lisa pressed forward, her emotions bubbling just beneath the surface. Tom isn't just my boss, he's the one who stepped up when I was falling apart. He helped me get back on my feet after my husband left. Do you remember how tough it was during those cold months? Tom stayed late, making sure I was okay. That meant something. Her words hung heavy in the air. In the silence that followed, she could almost feel the gears in the minds of the onlookers churning. Then another voice broke through, this time softer, almost hesitant. But there are other stories, Lisa. People are saying things, can you really discount them? The doubt slithered into her resolve, but Lisa squared her shoulders. You know what I hear in the break room? Laughter. You know what I see in the shop? People helping each other. There's kindness here, and it's born from trust. If we let a few rumors dictate our views, we'll lose that. Jamie's hand found hers beneath the table. The warmth rooted her, giving her courage. She could feel the heartbeats of others echoing with hers, a symphonic resolve building in the room. Just as she opened her mouth to speak again, the door to the courtroom burst open. Everyone turned in unison, as a figure appeared. It was Tom, looking worn yet resolute, his faded jeans and well-loved jacket a stark contrast to the stern surroundings. Your Honor, he said, his voice clear and steady, I've been listening. I know these allegations have put a dark cloud over our community, but I need you all to know something vital. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lisa's heart skidded to a stop. What would he say? I'm not afraid of facing the truth, Tom continued, locking eyes with Lisa. But you all deserve the full picture, everything that has happened, every hidden truth I never intended to reveal. The room held its breath, and Lisa's mind raced. She could feel the turning tide, but what would Tom reveal? Would it be the very thing that tore apart everything she tried to defend? As the weight of anticipation sat heavily in the air, she realized they were on the brink of something monumental. Would they really be able to face the truth together? All I ask, Tom said, is for you to trust me one last time. Lisa opened her mouth, but no words came. What depths awaited them in this unfolding story? And would Maplewood rise or fall depending on what was about to be unearthed? Tom stood before the room, tension rippling through the air like static electricity. The judge motioned for silence, but the murmur of anticipation was hard to rein in. Each person clung to the edge of their seat, hearts racing in sync. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. She didn't know what to expect, but the look in Tom's eyes told her it was serious. Before all this started, Tom began, glancing around the room, I was just a guy trying to make a difference. I never thought my past would come crashing back like this. His voice wavered ever so slightly. But I owe it to you, to everyone here, to be honest. He paused, collecting himself as he drew in a deep breath, almost as if summoning strength from the ground beneath him. I made mistakes. Some of you know that I had financial trouble years ago. I borrowed from people I shouldn't have, and in moments of desperation, I crossed lines I should never have. I thought I was doing what was necessary for my family, but I ended up hurting myself and others. Gasps filled the room again, mixed with whispered exchanges. Lisa's heart raced. She had never known this part of Tom's story. It felt like he was exposing his soul for all to see. I didn't set off to hurt anyone, Tom continued, keeping his gaze steady. I wanted to build something worth having in this town. But in the process, debts piled up. I got into business with the wrong people. People who do anything to come out on top, and I got swept into it, but I promise you, it's not who I am anymore. The weight of his confession hung heavily in the air. A few members of the audience exchanged worried looks. Lisa felt a mixture of heartbreak and anger. How could he have kept this from her? Yet, underneath it all, her heart swelled with a renewed sense of loyalty. Here was a man ready to own up to his past. I've tried to make it right by giving back, Tom went on, emotion thickening his voice. I've been transparent, doing my best to help the people of Maplewood. But when the rumors started swirling, I thought I was losing everything. Lisa eventually found her voice, breaking through her shock. You can't just drop this on us. We need to understand what you're saying. I know, Lisa. He took a step toward her, the room still feeling tight with tension. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, just your understanding. The murmurs intensified, and the judge called for order. People were shifting in their seats, caught in the web of revelations woven by Tom. Some looked shocked, while others bore expressions of concern for their friend. "What I did to try and save my own skin turned me into a pawn," he admitted. "I thought I was protecting our community, but I was wrong. And now I see how it might look from the outside. I never intended for any of this to entangle anyone else." A palpable sadness filled the courtroom. Just then, Jamie squeezed Lisa's hand tighter, a reassurance that she needed. "So now what?" Lisa asked, her voice softer but filled with intensity. "How do we get through this?" Tom took a deep breath, determination returning to his stance. "We fight for Maplewood. Together. I need your support, not just to clear my name but to remind the community what we stand for. I believe we can rebuild, piece by piece." Lisa felt a fire reignite inside her, fueled by hope and a fierce will to stand beside him. But questions buzzed in her mind like angry bees. Could the truth really heal all wounds? As Tom stepped back, the courtroom held its breath, ready for what was next. Would the town of Maplewood rally around their strengths, or would his revelations tear them further apart? "Let us uncover the truth together," Tom said, determination lacing his every word. "But we can't do it if we're afraid of what we might find." With this daunting challenge laid before them, Lisa knew this was only the beginning. The story of Maplewood was far from over. What other truths might surface? And at what cost would they uncover them? The judge's gavel rapped on the wood again, signaling calm as an anxious murmur surged through the crowd. Lisa's mind was racing, filled with questions, doubts, and a flickering flame of hope. She kept her focus on Tom. It was painfully clear a rift had formed, and the only way to bridge it was with trust. "Your Honor, I'd like to request a brief recess," Tom stated, his voice steady and resolute despite the chaos swirling around. The judge nodded, granting a momentary break as people began to stand and stretch, some whispering among themselves, while others shuffled out for fresh air. "Can we talk?" Lisa asked, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. She grabbed Tom's wrist before he could step away, grounding him amidst the unpredictability. "Yeah, of course," he replied, a mix of relief and worry washing over him. They stepped to the side, away from prying ears, but the tension still hung heavily between them. "Tom, I mean, what you shared back there, it's a lot. The town, they can't just be okay with it overnight. You understand that, right?" "I do. But it's the truth, Lisa," he said, urgency lacing his words. "We have to face it together. I can't do this without you." "Together?" She echoed, the word feeling foreign. "It feels like you've been telling me a lie all this time." "It wasn't a lie, not entirely," he insisted. "I was just trying to protect you from my past, from the judgment. I thought if I made it to the other side, I could keep you safe from it. I was wrong." The raw emotion in his eyes pierced through her anger. She wanted to feel angry, to draw boundaries, but there was a comfort in his honesty that softened the edges of her hurt. "Maybe," she conceded slowly, "but how do I help to carry this weight when I didn't even see it coming?" "By being you," he stated, urgency in his voice anew as he clasped her hands in his, grounding them both. "You together we form a part of what makes Maplewood a community. We can help others see that this isn't about the mistake, it's about how we recover. I want to lead that charge." Lisa felt a flicker of resolve growing inside her. "So, what's next? We just tell everyone to forget what you've done?" "No, it's not about forgetting," Tom said, shaking his head slowly. "It's about using it as a stepping stone. It's about real change. I know I've made mistakes, but look around. Everyone in this town is struggling one way or another. Their stories can help us reform and thrive, together." The sound of anger filled the hallway as a heated discussion broke out nearby. Lisa tightened her grip on Tom's hands. She could sense the gathering storm. "You really believe that?" she asked, searching his gaze. "I have to," he replied, determination hardening in his voice. "And I want you with me. I want to rebuild with you, for this community. A moment passed, heavy with possibility. Lisa exhaled, the weight of the world suddenly feeling both lighter and heavier. If we do this, we do it wholeheartedly. But it won't be easy. I'm ready for whatever it takes, he promised, the sincerity in his voice warming her resolve. Just then, the judge's voice cut through, calling them back to order. Tom's hand slipped from hers, but the connection felt unbreakable. As they returned to face the crowd, the world outside faded, and this moment crystallized for what it could be, but in the back of her mind, another thought lingered: who else in Maplewood had secrets that could derail their plans? As Tom stepped forward again, ready to face the world, Lisa realized she wasn't the only one with doubts. Would the town truly stand behind them, or crumble under the weight of their buried truths? The weight of tomorrow's challenges loomed as they both took their places once more, and Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that the real struggle was just beginning. The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder as people took their seats again, anticipation buzzing in the air. Tom's heart raced as he caught Lisa's eyes one last time before shifting his focus to the judge. Every ounce of strength he had was needed now. The trust they had built over the years was at risk, teetering on the edge of disclosure, judgment, and the harsh eyes of their community. "Let us get back to it," the judge said, looking at them with a mixture of patience and authority. "Mr. Taylor, you have something to add?" Tom felt the weight of every gaze on him. He took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill his lungs. "Your Honor, what I said before isn't just my past, it's part of a larger narrative. I made mistakes, but I also learned. Maplewood deserves to know the truth, not just about me, but about our shared struggles, the secrets we all carry." A woman in the back tensed at his words, face scrunching up in disbelief. Tom steadied himself, scanning the crowd. He could see uneasiness written on familiar faces. They were grappling, like him, with the ghosts of choices they thought were buried. He continued, "This isn't just about one man's failure. It's about how we've all been hiding from ourselves and each other." Lisa inhaled sharply at his proclamation. He was unearthing a truth she wasn't sure they were ready for. It was one thing to face his past, but another entirely to push others to confront theirs. What if they weren't ready? The judge raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. "And how do you propose we move forward from here?" Tom braced himself. "By speaking openly. I want to host community forums, discussions where we can all share our stories, the pain, the regret, the hope. If we uncover these truths together, we might find a way to heal." An engineer, someone Tom had known since childhood, suddenly stood up. "And what about repercussions? People deserve to know who you are to decide if they want to support you." His voice rattled with doubt. "Yes, I agree," another voice piped in. "You've put us all in a difficult position. We're not just supposed to rally behind." Tom interrupted, desperation creeping in. "It's not just about me. Look, I recognize I've wronged, but we can't be a community that lets fear freeze us into silence. We need to be brave and embrace the hard truths. I genuinely believe we can turn this into a learning experience. For everyone." Lisa watched him, her heart pounding. Would they see the vulnerability he laid bare, or would they recoil? Silence enveloped the room, thick enough to cut with a knife. As the whispers transformed into heated exchanges, she stepped forward. "If you're willing to fight for a chance at rebuilding this community, it's because we've all faced our own shameful truths. This town has struggled together, perhaps even silently, and that's what binds us. The past doesn't define us, but it can guide us if we let it." Some in the room nodded slowly, others still appeared skeptical, arms crossed as if shielding themselves from the array of emotions emerging. The judge leaned forward, clearly taken aback. "It seems there's more at stake than I anticipated." Lisa felt the energy shift, like a weight lifting slightly. But another thought flickered in her mind. Was forgiveness a possibility for everyone involved? Would others step up and share their truths, or would Tom stand alone, as debates and discussions swirled around the court, she searched Tom's face for guidance. They were no longer fighting just for their own reconciliation. The stakes had risen, and the journey would demand more than they had initially imagined. What lay ahead? Would they truly uncover the memories they buried, or was opening Pandora's box going to shatter the fragile trust of a community ready to heal? The murmur of voices hummed like an electric current, and the reality of the future weighed heavier than ever. The tension in the courtroom was palpable. Tom could feel beads of sweat forming on his forehead, contrasting sharply with the coolness of the air. It was now or never. The voices rising around him were indistinct, but he could feel the anxiety and fear mingling with hope. "Everyone," Tom called out, raising his voice above the noise. His heart raced as he saw a few heads turn in his direction. "I know this is painful. I know you're scared. We all are. But if I can stand here bearing my soul, can't we meet halfway?" A few murmurs of agreement emerged, but doubt still hung in the air like a dense fog. The engineer spoke again. "You don't understand, Tom. You're asking us to expose ourselves. This is different. You're asking us to bare our wounds for the world to see." Tom nodded, feeling that weight settle heavier on his chest. "I get that. I know it's not easy to revisit those memories. But we are chained by our silence. The truth? It hurts. But it can also set us free. I'm standing here not to ask for forgiveness, but to encourage all of you to join me. To start a dialogue instead of hiding behind our fears." Lisa could sense the shifting atmosphere. Some faces softened at his words, while others remained hardened. She took a deep breath and looked at the judge. "Your Honor, with your permission, I'd like to speak as well." The judge nodded, and Lisa stepped up beside Tom. "As a community, our strength has always been in how we support one another. We all have situations we wish we could erase. Families hidden behind closed doors, secrets that bind us in shame. Isn't it time we tried to break the cycle? Tom is right, it doesn't have to define us." This time, a ripple of murmurs swept across the room, a blend of uncertainty and curiosity. Some faces sought answers, while others wrestled with shame reflecting back at them. What would it even look like? A voice called from the back. It belonged to Julie, the librarian. "Opening up could tear everything apart. What if we can't handle what comes next?" "That's part of the journey," Tom replied, finding a newfound courage. "We might stumble. We might hurt. But that's how we heal. Together." A silence fell again, broken only by the soft rustle of paper as the judge shuffled his notes. He looked up with a serious expression. "You're advocating for vulnerability, Mr. Taylor. A difficult request, but one that could lead to significant consequences." Tom swallowed hard, meeting the judge's eyes. "Yes, sir. The consequences might be painful, but the fear of facing them has been drowning us for too long. We can either stay stagnant or risk something greater growth." Then a man stood up to the left of Tom, the mechanic who had always been a pillar in their community. "I've been scared to speak up since my brother's accident. It felt easier to keep quiet. But over time, I see the cracks it left. Maybe it's time I stop hiding." A wave of whispers spread through the room, igniting trust. Voices chimed in, one by one. Stories emerged: grief, guilt, happiness lost and found. Each story was a thread, weaving into the complex tapestry of their shared existence. Lisa's heart soared. She felt tinges of hope flicker amidst the unease. These stories weren't just confessions, they were steps toward healing. Tom looked at her, eyes shining. They were in this together. But the warmth washed away all too quickly as a familiar woman stood. "And what if sharing the ugly truth shatters what little hope we have left? Are we ready for that?" The crowd held its breath. Could unearthing these unseen truths bring people closer, or tear them apart? Would anyone dare to share the hidden parts of themselves? The question hung heavy in the room, amplifying the sense of vulnerability. As the discussion continued, Tom realized they were at the precipice of something monumental, a transformation thrilling and terrifying all at once. What secrets would emerge in the next moments, and could they truly brave the depths of their hearts for the sake of a community reborn? In that moment, Tom knew they weren't just fighting for reconciliation, they were battling for hope. Would Maplewood rise together, or would their pasts drown them one last time? The answer lay just beyond their reach, swirling in a storm of uncertainty. A lingering silence hung in the air as everyone braced for the storm of honesty about to unfold. Eyes darted among the crowd, searching for the courage each person lacked. After what felt like an eternity, it was Julie again who broke the stillness. I think I have something to share. The room turned toward her, and in that moment, it felt as if they all held their breath together. Julie swallowed hard, her fingers trembling at her sides. When I was a teenager, I found myself trapped in a world of expectations. I believed I had to be the perfect daughter, the perfect student, but underneath, I was crumbling. Her voice wavered, but determination shone in her eyes. I struggled with depression for years, and I never knew how to talk about it. I feared judgment and losing everything. But keeping it locked away didn't protect me, it nearly destroyed me. A gasp echoed from the back, a reminder that her words were hitting home. Julie continued, her voice gathering strength. Staying silent allowed my demons to grow. I thought if I shared, I would only bring pain. But I see now, silence just breeds more pain. Tom felt tears prick at the edges of his own eyes. He had expected vulnerability, but this was raw power. With every syllable, Julie was peeling back layers, exposing the truth not just about herself but about all of them. The mechanic chimed in, his voice low but steady. I never thought my story could be a part of this, but I was in a similar place. I lost my brother, and I never talked about it. The guilt lingered like a shadow. I thought voicing it would mean letting go, but holding on to that pain just cut me deeper. Encouraged, more voices emerged, each with its own story. There was Jack, the store owner with a laugh that could brighten a room, who shared his battle with addiction. Fiona, the teacher, recounted her struggles with anxiety, and how it felt like an invisible anchor dragging her down. Each revelation acted as a match striking against a barrel of dry wood, sparks igniting a fire of shared experiences. There was a pulse running through the room now, a collective heartbeat of truth connecting them all. Tom could feel the weight of secrets beginning to lift. The more they spoke, the lighter they felt, as if the air had changed completely. Lisa glanced around, her eyes gleaming with pride. Look at this. We're sharing our burdens, not breaking apart. There's power here, we're building something together. But just as a sense of unity began to solidify, the familiar woman spoke again, her voice trembling. And what happens when the dust settles? What if we strip down to our raw core, only to find nothing left to build with? What if suddenly, the judge banged his gavel, silencing the room as he rose? Order. Your heartfelt sharing is undoubtedly brave. But I must remind you, vulnerability can be a double-edged sword. Tom's heart sank slightly, the looming reality crashing in again. Did they really know what was at stake? But then, Julie stepped forward again. Your Honor, we've been living in silence for too long. I think we already know the potential consequences. If we're willing to step into the light, even after sharing our darkest truths, perhaps we can forge a new beginning. The crowd rallied around her, a wave of nods and murmurs of agreement washing through. Tom felt a rush of hope, palpable and sweet. Maybe their collective courage could kindle a change that would ripple beyond these walls. As the discussion continued, an electric tension filled the air, a blend of hope and fear, courage and doubt. Each story told would unearth the past, but it could also sow the seeds of a brighter future. Yet deep within him, Tom felt the stirrings of a new question: what were the costs of this honesty? What tide of history might they unleash? He wanted so much for them all to succeed, but would their truths bind them tighter, or threaten to rip them apart? With all eyes on him, Tom realized the moment of truth was fast approaching. Would they continue down this path of revelation, and if so, what would it reveal? How far? Were they willing to go for hope? The room buzzed with a tension that felt electric. Tom took a deep breath, the kind that rattled in his chest. He stood at the edge of uncertainty, staring into the eyes of his neighbors who had all just bared their souls. He could sense their support, but also felt the weight of the unspoken fears and histories swirling around him. I think I have something to say too. His voice came out softer than he had intended, but as the words settled, a sense of resolve washed over him. The crowd focused in, urging him on. Julie nodded encouragingly. I grew up thinking expressing emotion was a sign of weakness. I wanted to be the strong one in my family, the rock. But the truth is, I've been drowning just like all of you. My father was an addict, and I never knew how to deal with that. I've spent most of my life looking over my shoulder, scared to let anyone in, thinking it would mean I'd lose everything if they knew who I really was. His hands trembled as he spoke, vivid memories flooding back. The echoes of arguments, the slamming of doors, the whispers of shame that followed. He paused, realizing they all shared the same fear of connection. I've carried so much guilt, so many regrets. I lied about who I was, thinking it would protect me, but all it did was isolate me. The mechanic leaned forward, his eyes wide with understanding. It's hard to let go of that weight, isn't it? Like you said, it feels like we're on the brink of something new, if we only had the courage to step into it. Exactly, Tom replied, his voice growing steadier. That's what I want to find out. If sharing our truth can turn the tide, maybe we can also find healing. The familiar woman looked thoughtful, her earlier trepidation softened. But at what cost? What if we open these wounds just to find that the pain is too much to bear? Tom could feel the weight of her words hanging like a storm cloud above them. What if they were right? The thought made him feel sick. I think that healing requires confrontation. It's scary, but it leads to growth. I've seen it in the recovery community. People come together, share their struggles, and they don't get torn apart. They get built back up. We all need that, right? A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd, energizing those who hadn't yet shared. He saw Jack clench his fists, nodding in agreement. We can't let fear hold us back. It's time for this to change. As Tom spoke, he felt the shared weight of their pain lifting just a bit. It was slow, but he could sense it. Julie chimed in, each of our stories is a piece of a bigger puzzle. Together, we can begin to see a clearer picture of healing. The judge's gavel sounded again, pulling everyone back into focus. Your courage is inspiring, but remember, there are repercussions to what you choose to share. He looked around, his gaze lingering on each of them. Are you prepared to handle the fallout? Tom's heart raced. They had drawn the line in the sand. Amidst the courage and hope swirled feelings of apprehension. Each truth unveiled could lead to a new beginning, or they might dredge up old ghosts. He could see it in the eyes of everyone gathered. They were on the edge of something monumental, and all it would take was one step forward into the unknown. And if it hurts, Tom added, the fervor surging in him, we'll face that together. The crowd stirred at his words, a shared energy igniting. The judge leaned back, a glimmer of approval breaking through his stern facade. Then let us hear more. Let us push through the darkness. As Tom looked around, determination blossomed in him. Could they truly rise above the heaviness that clung to them? Would this platform of honesty be the foundation they needed? But then a shadow danced across the room as an unexpected figure stood slowly. It was Lisa, trembling slightly. I have a different kind of truth to share. All eyes turned toward her, a mix of curiosity and concern wrapped tightly around the air. Tom felt his heart skip. What was she about to unveil? Lisa felt a lump form in her throat as she gazed at the expectant faces of her neighbors, each one holding a piece of her heart. She had stood by Tom's side, advocating for truth, but here she was about to bear her own. I can't hold this back anymore, she began, her voice quavering but steadying with every word. I've been carrying this weight for too long, afraid that sharing it would tear apart what little connection we have. The audience leaned in, the tension thick. She swallowed hard. My husband left us a few years ago, and I thought I had to be strong for Jamie, for our future. I put on a brave face every day, working late at McGraw's and trying to make ends meet. But inside, I was broken. I hid my pain, thinking showing weakness would only drag Jamie down. She could see murmurs ripple through the crowd, faces softening in recognition. I was ashamed, she continued, ashamed to admit that I was struggling. I thought if I didn't acknowledge the hurt, it would disappear. But silence doesn't heal, it festers. Tears pricked her eyes. It took seeing Tom, my mentor, my friend, fighting so bravely to face his own past for me to realize it was time to shed my own layers of fear. It's time to be real. I'm tired of hiding. We all are. The mechanic vigorously nodded, his eyes pooling with tears, empathizing deeply with her struggle. Together, we face our darkness, Lisa said, looking at Tom, then at the others. I won't let my fears hold us back any longer. No more shame. No more silence. As her words sank in, the room vibrated with a newfound vulnerability, an energy that hummed with hope. Lisa locked eyes with Jamie, who was watching her with wide eyes, his heart swelling with pride. He saw her courage, and it filled him with warmth. Duty dealt a new hand they hadn't anticipated. They were family, bound by love and the light that shone in their darkest days. Together, she added, her focus returning to the crowd, we rise from these ashes. I trust in this community, and I trust that we can help one another. I believe we can reshape Maplewood, not simply recover, but grow into something stronger. The crowd erupted into murmurs again, but this time it was different. Encouraging whispers coursed a sense of unity. Tom took a breath, summoning strength. Lisa's right, everyone. We're not just here to share wounds. We're here to heal, to rebuild. We've stumbled into darkness, now let us choose the light. Together. As their hands steadied, the warmth of the moment broke through the lurking dread that had held Maplewood captive. People shuffled closer, forming a circle of support rather than judgment. The judge, with a softened expression, spoke, "You are all embarking on a journey of vulnerability that not everyone can undertake. It will demand grace, forgiveness, and commitment to each other. Will you embrace this?" "Yes." An enthusiastic voice bubbled through the crowd. "Yes, we will." More voices chimed in, gaining momentum like a freight train, bursting with enthusiasm. In unison, hands extended, reaching for one another, a symbolic act of connection, open hearts filled with the hope of healing. The energy in the room shifted, lighting a spark of renewal. The walls, once shadowy remnants of secrets, began to breathe life through unwavering voices. Courage cascaded like a waterfall, a movement propelled by shared struggles and shared strength. As the commitments were made to face the truths and rebuild, Lisa and Tom exchanged a glance brimming with gratitude and understanding. They felt the power of their stories resonating deeply within, a collective heartbeat forging a new chapter for Maplewood, one that was open and honest, full of raw and fragile beauty. The air was charged with possibility. The journey wouldn't always be easy, but here, in that moment, they had tapped into something profound. The past was no longer a weight to bear but became a bridge illuminating the path ahead, and as the gavel came down, signaling the end of the proceedings, everyone stepped out into daylight together, their burdens lighter, their spirits buoyed by belief and the promise of a brighter future. It was not about erasing the past but about writing a new story together. Maplewood was reborn in truth. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show us that you want more life-changing tales. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending, and be part of this journey. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Spread the message of hope and community. You need to support this channel, and together, will keep the stories alive.